21st of August 2019, a new ministry was born. It is the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. It's been 3 years since the ministry took off, and it's been 3 years of service to humanity. For the many lives that have been touched and the many households that have enjoyed its interventions, the ministry is an answer to a prayer as it pursues the fulfillment of its mandate of fighting poverty and giving the vulnerable a new lease of life. Welcome to this episode of Service to Humanity, put together to commemorate the ministry's 3 years of existence. My name is Habiba Zakzak, your anchor. I'll be back after the short break with the full program. It is not a coincidence that the birth of the ministry falls around the World Humanitarian Day. In fact, it further drives home the need for concerted and coordinated efforts to address the humanitarian crisis as a result of insurgency, pandemics, or natural disasters. Little wonder then that for this year, the ministry commemorated the World Humanitarian Day in Maiduguri, Borno State, where the impact of the humanitarian crisis is most felt. The event was graced by President Muhammadu Buhari as Nigeria identified with humanitarian aid workers in the midst of the challenges they face. Let's take details of the event in our first segment of the program.
This year's World Humanitarian Day had the theme, It Takes a Village. The ceremony to mark the event took place on the 18th of August 2022 at the banquet hall of the Borno State Government House. Present at the grand event were the President of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Hajiya Sadiya Umar Faruk, Executive Governor of Borno State, Babagana Umar Zulum, former Governor of Borno State, Senator Kashim Shettima, members of UN humanitarian agencies, international NGOs, among others.
We stand and shall continue to stand in solidarity with humanitarian aid workers.
In his address, while affirming the federal government's commitment to reducing the effect of disasters, climate change, insurgency, and challenges of internally displaced persons (IDPs), President Buhari directed the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and its agencies to pay particular attention to emerging issues amid the return and rehabilitation of Nigerians displaced in the 13-year conflict and insurgency in the region.
The emerging issues include the increasing number of orphans and widows. From our experience in the unfortunate civil war, I know the threat that exploded ordinances can pose to returnees, even after the conflict has ended, as we saw in the latest IED incident in Burma just last week. I urge the ministry and its agencies, as well as state governments and the sufficient committee I have set up under the chairmanship of the Vice President, to come up with specific programs and projects that respond to these emerging challenges of explosive ordinances, as well as that of children orphaned by insurgency.
President Buhari praised humanitarian aid workers across the globe for distinguishing themselves through their courage, commitment, and drive to help their fellow humans in need, often at extreme personal risk to themselves.
This typifies the nature of humanitarian work and service, and it is a great testimony for the theme of this year's World Humanitarian Day, which is It Takes a Village.
The President led other guests at the event in Maiduguri to observe a minute of silence in memory of all those who lost their lives in disasters and humanitarian workers who died in the line of duty.
May the souls rest in perfect peace. Thank you very much. Please sit down.
Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Speaking earlier, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar Faruk, stated in her welcome speech that since 2016, 35 aid workers have died, 22 have been injured, and 34 have been kidnapped, citing data from the Aid Worker Security Database.
There have been tremendous efforts and huge achievements as a result of the efforts of the federal government under your able leadership, state governments, the United Nations, international donors, NGOs, and other partners, as witnessed by the massive surrender of insurgents and thousands of returnees.
Regarding the venue selection for this year's event, the minister said that Borno was chosen to highlight the humanitarian situation of the region and the misery of IDPs, while also serving as a catalyst for change.
One of the reasons, Excellency, we have chosen the Northeast, in particular Borno State, as the venue for this year's event is to highlight the tremendous improvement in the humanitarian situation in this region, to provide a human face of the plight of IDPs and to inspire the change needed.
Also speaking, the governor of Borno State, Babagana Umara Zulum, among other things, praised the federal government for projects carried out to support the people of the state.
The establishment of the Northeast Development Commission, the approval, initiation and establishment of 50 megawatt power generation plant, which is nearing completion to provide electricity to the North State. The recent approval of 50 billion naira for the repatriation of our citizens from the Northeast living in Chad, Nigeria and Cameroon as a result of the displacement caused by the insurgency. These are remarkable actions that supersedes many other initiatives in our recent history. I commend the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, Northeast Development Agency, NEMA and Refugee Commission for their continued support.
President Buhari carried out an unveiling of food basket and took a tour to see an exhibition of skills acquisition materials created by IDPs. Earlier in the day, President Buhari, led by Governor Zulum, commissioned the Bulunkutu Teachers' Quarters and 500 low-cost housing estate for IDPs constructed by the Borno State government with the support of the federal government.
You are watching Service to Humanity, and in this episode, we are marking 3 years of a ministry dedicated to uplifting lives, fighting poverty, and providing a much-needed coordination for humanitarian activities in Nigeria. We shall run a series to mark the 3 years of the ministry, starting with an overview of the mandate and mission of the ministry, as well as a review of some major interventions this year. Keep watching.
For you to use and take care of your family.
The National Social Investment Program is a major tool in the actualization of President Muhammadu Buhari's vision of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. 2022 opened with the annual review meeting of stakeholders. The annual strategic review meeting is designed to provide an avenue for the ministry and NSIP leaders, strategic implementation partners, represented by the state's focal persons and other critical stakeholders, to take stock of the entire spectrum of activities around the effective implementation of all clusters of the NSIP nationally, with a view to drawing on the valuable lessons learned to guide future implementation. It featured paper presentations by the various team leaders as well as group heads of the components, including the Rapid Response Register, Conditional Cash Transfer, Empower, JEEP, Homegrown School Feeding, Monitoring and Evaluation, ICT and Data Management, the Alternate School Program, amongst others.
The program operates on 6 cardinal objectives.
Focal persons also took time to explain the challenges confronting implementation while sharing success stories. They also provided solutions to recurring issues while agreeing that the scope of the impact of the NSIP on the lives of the people is quite commendable.
there is an improvement. The National Social Register has evolved. It has now increased. The poor and vulnerable households that have been identified, more have been brought into the payment role. And if you take the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, more pupils have now been brought onto the program. More schools that were not captured before are now part of the program. States that were out of these programs before are now completely into the program.
For the N-Power, some of them are financially stable, they are self-sufficient, they've employed others, they've invested, they have a registered business. For the cooks, they've started small-scale businesses, buying and selling, trading, rearing. And for the Jeep, those who collected the interest-free loan have also repaid back. And for conditional cash transfer, the well-being of the beneficiaries has been tremendously enhanced. They can send their children to school, they can access health facilities, they eat nourished meal in their houses without any problem.
Without the use of this multimeter, it's as if you are doing try and let me see whether it go.
Following the meeting, activities and interventions under the Social Investment Program have greatly increased in momentum, especially with the N-Skills and N-Build component under the N-Power. The N-Skills program is a social investment program designed to train beneficiaries from each state for various skills based on the certification system and accreditation of training provided through apprenticeship systems anchored by Mastercraft and formal training system using community skills development centers. To kickstart activities under the N-Skills, the ministry in January organized a 2-day master training for the lead trainers for life skills, foundational skills, and entrepreneurship training. These trainers will have the responsibility of going back to their various states to train others under these components.
N-Skills is an arm to ginger the young people. Like one Indian man said to me when I was working in Nota, he said, Dr. Bindi, your country is full of dollars. The dollars are just flying in the street. You will just take a basket and sweep dollars into your basket. But you need special glasses to see those dollars. And those special glasses are skills, competencies, and so on and so forth. And this is why you are here as a transition team to be able to capture the concept from the consultants and you take it down to the people who need it.
The lead trainers who participated in the training were from 36 states of the Federation and FCT. They expressed their appreciation to the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for introducing the program that will not only help to mitigate poverty, but also illiteracy and other social challenges facing the country.
On behalf of the target beneficiaries, I want to really and sincerely and deeply appreciate our Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for this noble program that country is ready to come. Training and 75 beneficiaries each state will go a long way to help us mitigate the effects of poverty, no education, and all other social ills that we've been experiencing.
I want to assure you that we are ready to learn, we are learning, and we shall scale down this learning very well.
Training of beneficiaries under the N-Skills commenced across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Beneficiaries were trained on phone repair, which is the main program, entrepreneurship, and life skills. Trainers in one of the centers in Jos speak more of the training as well as benefits of the scheme.
The training is all about three core areas. Number one is teaching the participant about the basics life skills that they require for use out there. Then secondly, foundational skills, and this has to do with phone repairs and maintenance. It is supposed to carry them along by the instructors on how to repair and fix smartphones. Then lastly, to give them the basic entrepreneurial skills they need in order to establish their own businesses.
Federal government deemed it necessary that reasonable percentage of the people do not apply for Empower. Then they created an end scheme. It's expected those that do not apply for Empower will go for end scheme. At the selection, you can see we gave the fiscally challenged people commission. They send their people. We send to the local government chairman. They send their people. In fact, we send to traditional rulers, undermining political evolution.
This network antenna.
The story was the same in other centers where beneficiaries got the skill necessary for GSM repairs. With a training manual made available to each of them, they were taught on the different parts of a mobile phone, their functions, and how to strip and assemble a mobile phone. Delta State and Ibadan had impressive turnout as their trainers spoke on the skills received and the impact on the lives of beneficiaries.
The unique feature of this program is that the program is in three phases. So one is the life skill, which you already took. So the life skill is focused on changing the mindset and changing the idea that this is free for all. This is part of my national cake, as we heard around, that once they give them the starter pack, some of them immediately sell it instead of using it to, to do what they're supposed to do, to use it to empower themselves and, and also train others. But with the life skill training, their mindset is changed. There's orientation. Then we now have the next phase, which is the training proper for the phone repairs, the mobile phone repairs. After which, we will also undergo another set of training, which is on entrepreneurial skills training.
We try to let people know how an average entrepreneur thinks, how they operate, what they do that set them apart from others, and what have you. To be a successful entrepreneur, you need some qualities. Those are the things we try to share with the participants so that when they go out there, they have a very good background to operate very well as a business person. After this training, virtually every one of them should be able to be a better business person and operate wherever they are put in a better way compared to what could have been if they don't go through this training.
For the NBuild beneficiaries, they were equipped with different skills like carpentry and joinery, electrical installation, masonry and tiling, plumbing and pipe fitting, and many more. The NBuild consists of a 3-month in-center training program that is designed to build competence and capacity in highly demanding technical and vocational skills. It is aimed at providing the most needed skills to young men and women with a view to empowering them. After the training, starter packs are provided for the beneficiaries, after which they are deployed to commence a 6-month apprenticeship program while being paid a monthly stipend. Over 40,000 youth have been trained under the NBuild component. There was a grand closing performed in Abuja by the Honorable Minister herself. Before the formal closing, the minister and other stakeholders toured the Abuja Center for the training to see the successes achieved in the program.
This event is a clear demonstration of our commitment.
At the formal graduation, she described the event as a landmark occasion to economically advance the living standard of young unemployed Nigerians by empowering them to become tomorrow's employers of labor.
It is worthy to note that What is happening in 4C Skills Training Center here in Abuja today is also taking place in 693 training centers across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, where 40,000 trainees in the batch C of the N-Build program have been trained.
The high point of the event was the presentation of certificates and starter packs to the graduating trainees.
Ṣàǹfààní gidigidi lára tèmi nílé mi o àtàwọn ọmọ mi o torí ara oúnjẹ ara pákí díẹ̀ ní àṣegàrí à ń tẹ̀bà à ń ṣèbẹ̀ à ń jẹun ìjọba ṣeun lọ́wọ́ á ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ ètò tó dáa ni tó fáìn tó dáa ni torí ìjọ yẹn gan tí wọ́n pé owó yẹn ẹlòmíì kò sí nǹkan kan pé bóyá bákan jíjẹ ṣùgbọ́n gba adé báyìí wọ́n kọ́kọ́ yà ayọ̀ 2000 wọ́n ṣèbẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ inú wọn dùn ara ráìsì àdàṣẹ́ńjì tó kù sórí ìka pákí pé ká lè máa rí mu jẹ lọ díẹ̀díẹ̀ ìjọba ṣe.
Before we draw the curtains on the program, a few testimonies from beneficiaries of some of the programs and interventions of the ministry. Let's hear them.
Across the country, the number of beneficiaries under the N-Power have continued to increase. The impact remains unquantifiable. For those that have benefited from the N-Skills, they testify of skills they have acquired.
Have learned how to use the multimeter, that's the speed, and when you are using and I've really learned how to use the soldering iron and the air blower and the meter, that is if your phone falls inside the water, how you can use the air blower to check it. Then the multimeter, you can get the fault inside the phone. And they have told us the multimeter used to count in 3 units, which is the current, the current, the voltage, and the access.
I have learned about the theoretical aspect of repairing of a smartphone. That's what we've been taught. And then secondly, we are taught about the skill acquisition enterprise, and then how you can manage your business and other things like that.
The story is the same for those trained on the various components of the N-Build. Their testimony is the same as they recount the various trainings they were put through.
We have learned the basic rudiments of building construction. We have learned the different tools and then different kinds of buildings and the basic things that would help us.
I can boldly say I can fix a toilet. Like in my hands here, if you see, this is a 4-inch elbow, and I can use it to fix a toilet, a WC toilet. And this is a 2 inches PVC pipe, a 2 inches elbow, and a floor waste. I can use it to fix my drainage and sort out some valuables in the house to avoid any damage or water attacks in the house.
For all of these beneficiaries, they expressed appreciation to the government and the ministry for changing their stories and equipping them for a better life.
I feel excited, I feel happy because the training has lasted for over 4 months. They've given us the tools to work with. Just like doing the theory, we are also expected to do the practicals. And so we are very excited and happy that we got these tools so as to go out and find something for ourselves. I'm very ready now. I feel so equipped because the government have tried a lot in bringing this program to us, taking most of us out of the streets and giving us a better life, so that we can be able to do something and make meaning out of our life.
Three years of service to humanity. 3 years of commitment to a cause to better the lives of the downtrodden. We say kudos to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for being an ambassador for victims of humanitarian crisis and for being a tireless driver of her team. Special thanks to staff of the ministry and her agencies that have worked to actualize the visions and mission of the ministry. We celebrate you. Until I come your way again next week, stay safe and be part of providing a service to humanity. Bye for now.